Good morning. On behalf of our 5,000 shareholders of CANB Corp and our investors, Ryan and Anna, thank you for inviting us to present at the Emerging Growth Conference. As Anna said, with me today is Marco Alfonsi, our CEO, and I'm Stan Teeple, our CFO. Let's get the legal business out of the way first. Disclaimer and forward-looking statements. We need to say that the presentation today is for information only. It's not an offering to sell. And the statements and presentations that we make herein are covered within the safe harbor provisions. Jumping right into the who we are is as important as why you're listening. So let's talk about who we are for just a minute. We're a publicly traded company. We're traded OTCQB. We're active in the trading market. We have, as I mentioned, a little over 5,000 shareholders. We've been around since 2015, which practically makes us a grandfather in this space. We are a seed-to-sale health and wellness company. So why should you listen to us? Why should you devote the next 15 minutes to listen to what Marco and I have to say? It's because if you listened to us before, if you looked at the old CANB, we are completely pivoted, repositioned company. We have a new business model, and it's really putting us on the map here. From a financial standpoint, we've got $12.5 million worth of hard assets against a $5 million debt on our balance sheet. This year, we're projecting to do better than a 450% increase sales year over year, and we're vertically integrated. We grow and we harvest and we extract and we process, and we do isomers and isolate, and so we're a vertically integrated company in hemp. But let's jump into exactly our corporate structure and how we're going to explain our company to you. So this is our corporate structure, and we're going to be looking at three different operating divisions. Think of it as three different legs of a stool. So the first leg of the stool that we get into is going to be our durable medical device, our Duramed division. Then we'll get into hemp operating division, and then we'll get into our manufacturing division. So Marco, we're up on Duramed right now. Tell us about Duramed, what it is and what we do.
So Duramed is our medical device company. This is the unit that we're speaking about. It has ultrasound gel, so it uses ultrasound to push into your body 2.5 inches. This is a FDA approved device. This device cost us approximately $2,300 to $2,400 for the unit. And the business model that we built with this was through the no-fault insurance carriers in New York State and in Michigan. So the model today in New York State is that we're in 15 physician offices with 10 units in each office. That brings us approximately $600 revenues on a weekly basis.
Per unit?
Per unit, thanks, Dan. And more importantly, in Michigan, we just entered the market probably last quarter, and we're doing phenomenal. We're already in 25 doctors' offices with the same dynamic. We give them 10 units per office, but the difference in there is the billing. So they have different billing requirements, and from that, we are billing $1,500 weekly in the state of Michigan. So when we built the business model now, we're at about $125,000 weekly run rate with 60% margins. That is beautiful margins. We have approximately 400 units that we have purchased for that price. And now, did I leave anything else there?
You know, a little bit more just to touch on the SAMPRO 2.0. Essentially, this is a post-surgery device. It increases healing speed. It reduces pain. It reduces swelling. It helps in capillary development. So it's an easy sell for the doctor to be able to put on patients and in the no-fault business. But Marco, we're going into a couple of new areas as well.
Yeah, so because we're in so many physician offices today, after they go home with the user, we'll also try to get braces going for that physical therapy moving forward. So we're expanding that, and we're looking to get into the last state, the state of Florida. Between those three states, it's a beautiful business model. We're leaving it intact, not touching it. We're just adding more resources to it to make that business model work a little bit better.
Good. Lastly, we are adding, before we were just a no-fault model, as Marco mentioned, but we're looking, and we're actually doing business right now in the workman's comp area and Medicare. So that's our durable medical device. Let's go back and have a look again back to our organization chart. We're next going to be talking about the hemp operating division. So the first thing when you talk about that is, what is hemp? Hemp is essentially, it's a farm crop. It's just like growing corn or cotton or beets. If you're a farmer, you can grow those things, you can grow hemp. Hemp is internationally recognized as a positive crop in a couple of areas, in industrial use, but also in the CBD area. It's also legal in all 50 states. According to the Farm Bill of 2018, hemp is a legal substance to be grown. But let's jump in. Let's just jump right into, Marco, what are we in our hemp operating division? So what are we doing? What's our first step here?
So in our hemp operating division, we have two segments. We have a grow license in the state of Colorado, and we have an extraction license. But we're doing a 26-acre pilot program with the Carter family. We're doing double density, and we're using our own genetics to grow these 15-foot high plants that have very little CBD or THC. The reason we're growing is for the fiber. We also recently purchased in an auction retrofitted combine heads. So we have the trucks and the equipment to do our own farming, but more importantly, these retrofitted combine heads separate the flour, the seed, and the fiber. That fiber, instead of wasting it now, we're selling it today for 6 cents a pound. But more importantly, we plan on getting more industrial decodification of that fiber so we can enter into the clothing or towel market. That is an untapped scenario. So more importantly then, our mead facility. You just saw that we acquired 3 buildings in the state of Colorado. It used to be the old UCAN assets. When they retrofitted this, so everybody knows, going back to COVID and right before COVID, the isolate market went from $9,000 a kilo to $350 a kilo. All these guys thought they were in a gold rush, including us, that we got hurt as well going through that period. But the only reason we survived is because my executives all took a 50% haircut for their salaries, and we were able to re-sculpture the company. What I mean by that is when these guys built these factories, this factory was built, they spent a little over $12 million hard assets with the wiring, with the leases, bringing in the equipment, dialing it in. We picked it up for $6 million of restricted stock in CANB, priced at what?
62 cents.
At 62 cents. So for us, we brought in a gigantic asset and gives us the capability of increasing revenues. What I mean from that is we already been out there a month already in our facilities. We lit them up, and right now we're processing 140,000 pounds of biomass through mead that yields us about 5,000 liters of something called winter crude. At that point there, we'll send it down to our other acquisition, Fort Morgan. Fort Morgan crashes it one more time, and we're able to create 3,300 kilos of isolate. Now, our capacity in both of those buildings right now is at 50% because we just opened them up. We're trying to dial them in. When we get that finished kilos, we send them down to our other 2 acquisitions that we just made. One of them is in Tennessee. Tennessee, we have the ability to do secondhand extraction to bring it down to isomers like Delta 8. Now, Delta 8, for the people who don't understand what that is, it's an isomer that is 100% legal throughout the United States with the updated Farm Bill of 21. More importantly, out of the 50 states, 13 have opted out not to sell it in their product. Those are the ones that are in the marijuana states for the most part. You have to understand, Delta 8 is a unique molecule. You won't be able to tell the difference in an edible between Delta 8 and Delta 9. So even the Delta 9 guys are starting to cultivate to us because we can make it for half the price. We're making it with our isolate. Now, that isolate just made us one of the biggest players on the market. If you saw one of our other recent acquisitions, how we're able to bring in the biomass, we bring that biomass, you'll see in a contract go out, I think it was a week and a half ago. One of the other things is how we monetize it for the farmer, that they're successful and we're successful without having too many pitfalls in case the bottom falls out again. Right now, we have hard assets with very little debt on our balance sheet. we're able to create with the farmer. We bring in his biomass. I brought in 1 million pounds of biomass and 80,000 liters of winter crude that we'll run through our whole process. And we paid 50 cents a pound for that. And we gave him the upside, and we paid with restricted stock. Right?
Exactly. The biomass is brought in under a restricted stock exchange.
It brought in at restricted stock. And the beauty of it is we'll process the whole thing. We'll give the farmer back 70% of the revenues. We'll keep 30%, but that 30% is after my leases are paid, my work is paid, all the trucking is paid. So for us, it's a non-lose situation. And for the farmer, it's a win-win because we're taking those crops that have no place to go right now. We give them the upside with the stock, and it gives us the lowest cost base out on the street. So we will become one of the biggest raw material providers of this isolate and distillate out on the street today. Did I miss something? Oh, the run rate.
Well, let's go to Miami because we're speaking about, as Marco said, we've developed the isolate, and the isolate actually goes to 3 different places. He told you about McMinnville with our operating lab in McMinnville, but bring us up to speed on Miami, where the second place that the isolate goes.
So Miami, we did that first purchase, and we purchased it, and they have something called short paths. Those short paths take that isolate, and they make Delta 8, one of the isomers. We're able to crash about 1,200 liters on a monthly basis there, and we're able to crash about 1,500 liters in the Tennessee facility. Now, the average price of Delta 8 right now, there's 3 different colors. You get the heads, tails, and the clear. So what ends up happening is the pink will go for $700 out on the market. The ambers and golds will go for about $800-900, and the clears can go from $1,000 to $1,200, predicated on the volume you're getting from the client. Right now, we're in full operation. Well, we're half operation, but we're able to sell through all that product. Right now, we're booking about $400,000 in real revenue on a weekly basis between Tennessee and Miami, just in that hemp division, Stan.
So just kind of to recap what you were saying on the hemp division. So we buy biomass for lettered stock. We process it through our Colorado operation. We take it from biomass to winter crude, to distillate, to isolate. Then we distribute the isolate into 3 different places, 2 being our labs. And the run rate on that isolate right now is filling our Miami and our Tennessee lab is
Correct.
About $400,000 in revenue per week on our Delta 8 sales. One more thing I want you to mention about what's going on. What else going on in Miami about edibles?
So we have gelato machines, we have gummy machines, so we're able to do with and vape machines. We just got the new vape jet in. We're able to bang out well over 30,000, maybe more cartridges a day. Gummies, we'll make them right there, fresh to order. What kind of milligrams you want, not a problem. We also have the ability to make chocolates and edibles and even gelato right now that we're going to be doing in Miami. We want to do non-alcoholic wine coolers with Delta 8. So we're getting very creative with our products, and that hasn't even added to the revenues because right now we can't even keep the Delta 8 liters in stock.
As Marco mentioned, the isolate coming out into our labs, there's 3 places that our isolate actually go. And the last piece of where the isolate goes is our Pure Health Products operating division. It's in Lacey, Washington, about an hour south of Seattle. Marco, tell us about white label and PHP.
So PHP is when we started the company in 2017, we were able to get into our first manufacturing facility. We opened it up. We had 5,000 square foot. Now we have 10,000 square foot. We went for Nsf, the final Nsf approval. We thought it was going to be on the 3rd. That was a pre-walkthrough. We have it scheduled for a month out. They already gave us a punch list of what we're going to miss. So it gives us the time to create it. We believe in the next 30 days we'll have Nsf approval. What that does for our company is open Pandora's box to all the big box stores, Costco's, the Walgreens, Walmarts of the world. And by having that kind of finished product that I still believe will be mainstream, we have all our lifestyle brands under PHP. So we have Cambiola, which is our doctor label. We're in hundreds of doctors' offices today and thriving. We have Pure Leaf Oil, which is our bodega label. Same label, spun in a different thing, different price points. And then we'll have 7 Chakras for our spa line. So we make bath bombs, bath salts, all the massage oils as well. And now with the acquisition of Music City, we have a whole Delta line that we're already launched and selling through today.
On white label, we also, in addition to our own brands, we do a white label product for a number of different manufacturers and distributors. We have over 100 SKUs in our CBD line, but we're also looking to make a pivot into nutraceuticals, which, as Marco mentioned, the Nsf Approval certification allows us to get into the nutraceutical business a little bit better. A couple other things, Marco, but when you founded the company there, you had a proprietary process that is huge from a consumer standpoint. Tell us about that.
So our nanotechnology for the physician offices was wonderful. We're able, through sound waves, break down that molecule, bring it down to 30 to 40 nanometers. By bringing it down 30 or 40 nanometers, the bioavailability is going to be 450% greater than most of our competitors out there. So for that, it's unique and wonderful.
Just a word about Superfoods. Yeah. What does that do?
Superfoods, with all the COVID coming out, we came up, we didn't know where the CBD market was going to go. So we started pivoting more traditional type of stuff. So a superfood with non-CBD products is working great because it's an immune booster. It's out there in the morning. People are very hot on that. It just happened to fall in. So we started taking a pivot. I told you we were doing industrial type hemp, right, because of clothing, and as well as this factory now. We are going to start developing products for our physician offices, which we already started for Dr. Zarsi. He put together a morning and an afternoon pill pouch, if you will, with his recipes to go and, help build your immune system for the COVID crisis that we have going on now. So, we're able to these white labels, we're able to create our own recipes, but more importantly, when a physician comes to us with his recipe, we accommodate them and we put it into play.
As a recap, let's look at some investment highlights. The health and wellness business in America is growing steadily at a 60% annual rate. But more important, the big target here is in the United States, the hemp and CBD business is projected to be $22 billion by next year. We're doing in our hemp division alone $400,000 a week in revenue, profitable revenue. We're vertically integrated, mentioning that we grow and we acquire biomass, and we do CBD, and we do crude oil, and we do distillate and isolate and the isomers. So we have a pretty strong base. We talk about seed to sale. We actually control the DNA of the seeds we put into the ground for the hemp that we grow, particularly as Marco mentioned earlier about the industrial hemp. Our projected growth rate this year is going to be 450% year over year. But just as important as all the numbers and all the equipment and all the asset and the acquisitions, that it's a people business. If we didn't have ourselves surrounded by the right kind of people and the right leadership in the business, it would not be a success. Marco, tell us a bit about your background.
So my background from 96 to 2008, owned 3 brokerage houses, ended up at Basic Investors, was my last BD. We were BSIC on the box. We made 300 markets as market makers. I had 114 registered reps. We had 6,600 accounts, most of them being institutional. And we did about 37 transactional from cradle to grave, wherever we inherited your problem. And one of the things that I came across is every time we funded one of these deals, that the management team wasn't willing to put themselves second to the company. All these guys, a lot of the CEOs are very selfish. They're out there. They're not taking care of their shareholders. In our dynamic, I was on that side of the business. I saw the errors they made. That's why we were able to survive. I'll say it again. We were able to survive through the COVID process by having executives that understood this business. We took the 50% haircut just to get us through the tough times. And now that we're opening up again, we'll reward our executives for doing that. But more importantly, the team you build around yourself is how strong you're going to be. Stan Teeple, he was a turnaround specialist for 30 years. I know him for 20. He was one of my CFOs prior. The man works like 12 hours a day without even asking, and some. And I thank you, Stan. Then we have Bill Scaller, temporary COO. He came from the FBI. You guys probably know a whole bunch of stories about Phil Scaller. Google him. He's really good. He's very structured. And that's what you need. You need a strong hand structure to bring in these other acquisitions. When you go through an acquisition process, integrating everybody is the hardest thing. So by doing these two acquisitions, we got two qualified people, three of them. We got Ricky Minton that runs our Tennessee facility that has been wonderful. He's been in the industry from day one. And we got the L7 boys. I got Bobby Lepsock and Brad Lepsock, who's also helping us with business development. Those guys were fourth generation farmers. And more importantly, we know how to farm, we know how to extract, and we know how to make finished product. And now the marketing is beautiful because it's a hot product. People are coming to us.
And we know how to market to that.
Yep.
In addition to Marco and I being inside directors, it's important, particularly we're going to talk about NASDAQ in a minute here, but NASDAQ requirement is that you have a majority independent outside directors. Mm-hmm. So our directors, Alger Boyer comes with 2 decades of experience at the top level from a Wall Street application. Senator Ron Silver, 14 years, the Speaker of the House in the state of Florida. Jim Murphy is former FBI, retired, started another business, Sutton & Associates, and he now is the control guy for hiring and background checking for the NFL. So that's our director slate. Marco built the business on medical offices. He would go out, as I think we mentioned before, he would get a product, he would develop it, he would give it to the doctors to test for efficacy and the quality of the product. Yep. So we have a strong medical advisory board, our corporate board, our attorneys are both in no fault and in general business. They're good advisors to us. Just kind of a recap here. Our trading symbol is CANB. Our stock price trades around 70 cents. We got an 18 million market cap with about 26 million shareholders. As mentioned earlier, we're in business since 2015. Congratulations, we made the cut here. But there's a couple other things we need to mention real quickly, Marco.
So just in summary, the people are out there that are looking to invest with us. We have an active Reg A at 65 cents. 3 months ago, I finished my first Reg A for $5 million at 50 cents. I gave price protection to the clients who did the 50-cent round. We're at the 65 cent round now. We already raised $800,000. We would like participants that understand our business, that want to get involved, just not circulate the stock. We're not looking for that. We're looking for long-time shareholders. So, and to be quite honest with you, just our market cap with the assets we have $12 million of hard assets. We have about 25 million shares outstanding. If you do the math, the market cap should be at least on the double size. That has nothing to do with all the assets. You wrap up assets to do one thing, is create revenues. And that's what we have shown, and that's what we have done.
Thank you, Marco. And then lastly, we want to let you know that we've made application to NASDAQ. We are interviewing some Wall Street firms about a potential uplist and concurred with a fundraise.
With a finance.
And we've checked a whole lot of the boxes. I think, Anna, we're running a little bit over on our side. I know you got some questions backed up. So, Anna, it's back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me? Okay.
Yes.
There was a little technical difficulty before, but that's never happened to anyone, right?
No.
Not in today's world. Well, thank you, Marco and Stanley. I just want to give a quick recap on our end. Today, we have 9 companies presenting. So after today's event at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, you'll be redirected to the registration page for the next conference. So please stay on and come back and reserve your spot early. And we do have lots of questions for you, gentlemen. Remember, if you guys have questions out there, submit your questions for the specific company, like here, as we have CANB Corp. So you can do that through the webinar module. So let's get right into your questions. We have a question from Keith Cook. He says, what would you say the total liquidation value of the assets of the company are, and compare that to the current market cap of 16 million? The company seems completely undervalued given your projections for growth. So what's your plan to project this message? And is EG Conference one of the first steps in a much bigger plan?
Anybody who knows my background and knows the history that I have, that I was in a broker-dealer flying the flag for other companies, knows that this is the first step in doing a full-blown road trip. The second thing, he's spot on. He did the math prior to me just closing it. You're right. This company is very undervalued for the market cap. We have $12 million in liquidation assets because we just had a third-party PCAOB guy had to go check them to validate because we're fully PCAOB. So to bring in the asset, we had to get resale value at today's pricing. That's why we have it at such a discount to the market. And the equipment is only 18 months old. It was only run for approximately 9 months. So we picked up new equipment for pennies on the dollar.
That's a good answer. All right, another question from Jerry Golden. He says, what are the proceeds of the S1 being used for, and how much more do you expect to pull down from it?
Okay, so the S1 was done as an obligation to Arena Capital. I have one note with Arena Capital for about $4.5 million. We started at $5 million. We paid them down $400,000 already. The note is due January 31st, and we're in the process of renegotiating that note, hopefully in a just flat rate with a floor, non-toxic. All the toxicity will be taken out of it. We're negotiating towards that. Haven't got there yet, but that's the only debt that we have on the books.
Great. Brian Crane wants to know, Delta 8 seems like a great growth area. Isn't there a huge arbitrage in price between the price of Delta 8? Couldn't you just spray on Delta 8 hemp flower and get the same results as cannabis flower? How will legalization help or hurt this new venture?
That is a great question, and I'll tell you why. Remember that grow we had that was double density, 15 foot high? That flower on top is pretty valueless. We have an SOP for a water-soluble Delta 8 spray, and he's absolutely right. We take that flower, we cure it, we make it pretty, we spray the Delta 8, and then we sell it for $700 a pound. It is a total win-win for us because we're taking all the waste and making product with it, where other guys didn't have that ability to do that in the past. I'm sorry.
That's great. Gino Paschier wants to know when you're uplisting to NASDAQ.
So Stan said we already made application for that. We're almost at the qualification. Right now, we're shopping for an investment banker that has like-type thoughts. I don't want us to just stay stuck in one industry. We want to grow the industrial hemp side, so we need additional capital to fund that. So it's kind of interesting, but we already made application. So we're vetting out one of the bankers right now to help us and assist us to get there.
Robert Nash asks, what do you spend to get into these new markets, and how many new markets are projected over the next 12 months?
Wow, that's another great question. So these markets and our business model and myself and Stan have created is we'll see a distressed property because 90% of the guys that were in the hemp business are all distressed. They're on their last leg. They can't even afford to pay their rent anymore. But he might have been a good operator with the wrong business model. So we'll go in there, we'll evaluate it because we're still looking to finish up this roll-up. We have another 2 acquisitions we're targeting. So after we're done with the roll-up, we'll go in there, we'll buy it pennies on the dollar, and more importantly, we'll infuse the capital and the business plan to get that facility up and running. And that's where our strengths are because we will find who knows, maybe the next acquisition could possibly be a cigarette vendor that he's having a hard time, and we'll get into that. But we have to paper it up right, so this way the company is not at risk.
I might add to that we have people now coming to us, now that people understand our business model about paying letter stock for asset acquisitions and then deploying capital in order to get the business up and operating. That seems to be working because people now are coming to us. We're not having to search out people. Same thing on the biomass story. We have millions of pounds of biomass accessible to us under that same business model that Marco explained earlier.
And that's why, what Stan just said, that's why it's going to make us one of the biggest feed competitors out there, because of the way we bring in our biomass, the way we process our biomass, and how we have a sell-through, and we have a win for the farmer, and we have a win for the company, and a win for the shareholders, because guess what? Hopefully, in this crazy world of CBD, even if it goes rocky, we have two other legs to stand on, and the way we brought in our biomass, we still have all our assets paid for without falling into a pothole.
Great presentation, gentlemen. We have more questions for you, but we are out of time, so we'll send them directly to you. But please join us again on the conference, and thank you so much for your time and presentation.
Ryan, Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Anna.
All right, everyone, stay with us as we transition to the next presenter. We'll be right back.